Once upon a sunny day in a lush green forest, a clever fox was wandering around, looking for something delicious to munch on. As he trotted along, his nose twitched at the sweet scent of ripe grapes wafting through the air. Curious, he followed the aroma until he stumbled upon a beautiful vineyard bursting with juicy purple grapes hanging from the vines. "Oh, what a splendid sight!" the fox exclaimed, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "Those grapes look absolutely scrumptious." He licked his lips and approached the vine, stretching his neck to get a closer look. But as he leaped up to grab a bunch, they danced just out of reach. "Oh, come on, just a little closer," he grumbled, jumping again, but the grapes remained stubbornly high above him. "Hey there, Mr. Fox," called a cheerful squirrel perched on a nearby branch. "What are you up to?" "I'm trying to get those delicious grapes," the fox replied, panting a little. "But they're too high up. Why not just climb the tree?" the squirrel suggested, twitching his bushy tail. "Climb? Me? I'm a fox, not a squirrel." The fox huffed, shaking his head. "I'm much too dignified for that nonsense." "Suit yourself," the squirrel chirped, munching on an acorn. "But those grapes won't come down by themselves." The fox rolled his eyes and took a few steps back, sizing up the vine. "I can do this," he muttered to himself. "Just a little more effort." With a determined leap, he soared toward the grapes again, but they eluded him once more. "Maybe you need a different approach," the squirrel chuckled, trying to hold back laughter. "What about asking for help?" "Help? Ha! I'm a clever fox. I can do anything on my own," the fox declared, puffing out his chest. "All right then, Mr. Clever Fox. But don't be too proud to ask for some advice," the squirrel teased, hopping down to the ground. Ignoring the squirrel's words, the fox took a deep breath and made one final mighty jump. "This is it," he shouted, reaching for the grapes, but he landed back on the ground with a thud, his paws empty and his pride bruised. "Still think you can do it alone?" the squirrel asked, smirking. The fox, feeling a bit embarrassed, glanced at the grapes swaying in the breeze. "Well, maybe they're not as great as I thought," he said, trying to save face. "I mean, who needs grapes anyway? They're probably sour." The squirrel raised an eyebrow. "Sour grapes, huh? You sure seem to be saying that because you can't reach them." "Not at all," the fox insisted, waving his paw dismissively. "I just realized I prefer other snacks, like, crunchy leaves." The squirrel chuckled, shaking his head. "Sure, buddy, whatever helps you feel better." With a flick of his tail, the fox turned away, trying to convince himself that he didn't want the grapes after all. As he walked off, he muttered, "Sour grapes, who needs them? I'll find something else." And so the clever fox strutted away, his mind filled with thoughts of other treats. all the while knowing deep down that sometimes it's easier to pretend you didn't want something than to admit you couldn't reach it. And the squirrel, still chuckling, returned to his acorn, knowing he had witnessed yet another lesson in pride and humility.